I would like to introduce everyone to the novel Senior Brother is Really Too Cautious, an exciting Xianxia fantasy story about the journey of cultivation. The story revolves around a senior brother who is extremely cautious, always meticulously preparing for every situation, to the point of astonishing those around him. With detailed cultivation scenes, intense battles, and plenty of humorous moments, this is definitely a must-read for fans of the Xianxia genre. And here is the content of this episode. Chapter 1. Little Ling. The melodious chime of bells drifted through the clouds. At the heart of the 3,000 worlds, the vast expanse of the great wilderness 5 divisions continent welcomed a new day. As the sun rose in the east, the stars gradually faded into the azure sky. In the northwest of Dongsheng Divine Continent, in an unremarkable secluded location near Zhongshen Continent, a grand yet delicate formation shimmered like an inverted glazed bowl, enveloping dozens of lush green peaks. Under the sunlight, the formation's walls glowed with a faint 7-colored radiance. One could clearly see streams of spiritual energy flowing within the barrier. On the mountain range, celestial birds and spiritual beasts frolicked. Amidst the drifting mist, several figures emerged. White smoke curled upwards, and celestial music echoed in the air. Near a clearing in the forest, several houses stood. Many people sat cross-legged, cultivating their breath, while others gracefully floated through the air, forming a scene of ethereal tranquility. Suddenly, a white cloud slowly approached the grand formation from the East Sea. On the cloud stood 2 figures, one tall, one short. The taller one was an elderly Taoist with silver hair, and beside him stood an exquisite young girl, around 8 or 9 years old. The cloud drifted in silence. A gentle breeze blew, carrying a sense of solitude. Suddenly, the elderly Taoist began chanting. At the dawn of the great chaos, the dragon and phoenix faced tribulations. 1,000 cycles passed in the blink of an eye. No celestial terrace or divine pavilion remains, only the echoes of immortal songs in the 9 heavens. Salvation for oneself, salvation for others, salvation for the forsaken, mocking mortals, mocking gods, all swept away by fate. Tell me, friend, what shall lead us home? The wise shed their bones in pursuit of destiny. Ling, listen carefully, the Taoist said. Legend has it that after the great war between the ancient sorcerers and demons, the heavenly Tao favored the human race. We, the Qi refiners, gradually occupied most of the lands outside of Beijulu continent. Our kind spread across the 3,000 great worlds. But Nanjanbu continent is the seat of humanity's fate, limiting our access. This place, Dongsheng Divine Continent, is the best cultivation ground in the 3 realms. Ling, look at the immortal mountains ahead. Do they not appear grand and magnificent to you? The young girl nodded obediently, her bright eyes blinking softly. Her round, childlike face still carried a trace of joy and anticipation. She spoke, her voice as crisp as a young bird's song, melodious yet with a hint of timidity. Yes, very grand. To secure a place with a spiritual vein near Zhongshen Continent, our sect's strength must indeed be formidable. The old Taoist stroked his beard in satisfaction, a proud expression on his face as he lightly shook his horsetail whisk. The little girl, dressed in a lotus-patterned dress, asked softly, "Master, why don't we settle directly in Zhongshen Continent and claim a spiritual vein there?" The Taoist hesitated before letting out an awkward chuckle. Too many powerful figures reside in Zhongshen Continent. Seizing a spiritual vein there would mean constant battles and instability, not as peaceful and comfortable as here. The young girl clasped her hands and bowed. Disciple understands. Today, I bring you to the immortal sect. From now on, you must cultivate diligently, no slacking, not even a little. Strive to achieve mastery early, pursue the path of immortality, and walk the road of freedom. The young girl tilted her head and softly asked, "But Master, Are you an immortal? The old Taoist coughed lightly, covering his mouth. Ahem. A few years ago, I made a slight misstep in my cultivation, but sooner or later, give or take 20 years, I'll ascend. Remember this well. Our sect is called the Sect of Transcendence. The founder, Taoist Dui, was a renowned golden immortal of Western Kunlun. The legacy passed down is the One Chi Righteous Heaven Tao, a supreme path to longevity. Have you memorized this? Engrave it in your heart. Yes, disciple has memorized it. The little girl nodded earnestly. The Taoist flicked his horsetail whisk and guided the white cloud toward the grand formation ahead, retrieving a jade talisman the size of a palm. The talisman emitted a soft green glow, and the protective formation of the mountain slowly parted, revealing an entrance. The Taoist smiled in satisfaction and led the little girl inside. As the master and disciple entered, several white cranes flew through the clouds toward them. Upon the cranes stood two young women in flowing silk dresses, the disciples responsible for patrolling the sect's perimeter. They landed gracefully and greeted the Taoist with a bow. Uncle Master Qi Yuan. After exchanging pleasantries, they inquired about the little girl, confirming that she was his new disciple, before elegantly departing on their cranes. The young girl's large eyes sparkled as she watched the two graceful figures disappear into the distance. Master, when can Ling ride a celestial crane and soar through the skies? When you refine the 5 Qi within your heart and can control objects at will, the Taoist Qi Yuan chuckled, stroking his beard. What you saw were celestial cranes, but in truth, they are just artifacts transformed through spells. No need to rush. Cultivation must progress step by step. I will take you to our mountain first and conduct your initiation ceremony. Though our sect branch now consists of only the three of us, we still have an entire peak to ourselves, an extraordinary honor. As Qi Yuan spoke, his old face, lined with hardship, revealed a trace of pride. But the little girl wasn't focused on possessing a mountain. Instead, she was silently counting on her fingers. 3 people? Master, but there are only 2 of us? Oh? I didn't mention it on the way? Qi Yuan rubbed his head. It must have slipped my mind. You have a senior brother whom I took in as a disciple 100 years ago. He can now, well, somewhat hold his own. Yes, that's right, ha ha ha. The young girl tiptoed and said, Master, your laugh is strange. Ling, you must remember this. Qi Yuan looked down at his newly acquired disciple, his expression suddenly serious. The wrinkles on his face seemed to align into the very word seriousness. The young girl, intelligent and well-mannered, immediately straightened her posture, focusing attentively. Qi Yuan let out a soft sigh and said in a low voice, Your senior brother. Well, his cultivation went a little off track. He often speaks nonsense and harbors some peculiar, unconventional ideas. You may seek his guidance in cultivation, but whatever you do not take his advice on life philosophy. I will teach you how to conduct yourself. The young girl blinked a few times, though somewhat confused, she obediently nodded. Yes, disciple understands. Only then did the Taoist breathe a sigh of relief. He lightly shook his horsetail whisk and pointed forward. Look, this is our Xiaoqiang Peak. Following his gesture, the young girl saw several towering peaks in the distance, among which nestled a rather modest-looking mountain. Unlike the other sect areas, which featured grand pavilions and majestic towers, this place was simple and unadorned, appearing somewhat deserted. Amidst the dense forest, rare birds flitted through the air. There were only a few buildings, and by a small lake on the mountainside, 2 thatched cottages stood beside some medicinal gardens. The old Taoist, looking pleased, guided the cloud down to the mountainside, passing through a simple protective formation. They landed before the cottages, where the white cloud dissipated. As the girl's cloth shoes touched the dew-laden grass, the gentle earth cushioned her steps. The scent of foliage drifted with the breeze, and the picturesque scenery of the lake enchanted her. She couldn't help but softly exclaim in wonder. Sunlight bathed the small lake, causing its rippling waters to shimmer. Suddenly, from the water, a tall figure emerged.